Welcome to our show today, Karan and Roshan. So excited to have you guys on the show. You're going to be dealing with my husband, 25 years. We've been married. I can't even believe it. Finance professional. My daughter, Zoya, who is a junior in college. My son, Veer, who's a sixth grader in middle school. And our guests of honor today, Karan, Soni, and Roshan Sethi. Where to begin? So, Roshan, you're a doctor, you're a director, you've created TV series, you've done so much, and now you're with Karan, who is an actor, basically, right? And Karan, tell us a little bit about your journey, how you got here, your school, how you got into the business.
Yeah, I know. I think like you've been very, you've said it in a very politically correct way, but yeah, Roshan went to two Ivy Leagues, he went to Yale, he went to Harvard Medical School, and I went to USC. So, not as prestigious, but the irony is that I make 7 times more than him. I would say my tax bill for the year is 3 times what his total salary is.
It really is.
Oh my
God! So I don't know.
Every now and then I wander over to his computer and I take a look at his bank account and I'm like, wow, like all this schooling later. 8 years, 9 years, 10 years.
Karan coming in for the kill. How? Oh my God. Now every brown boy out there is going to be like, see, we know it can be done. You know, every boy who's out there getting yelled at for not going to medical school, you know what's going to happen. Are you going to become the poster child for them? Because they see parents. It was never about saving lives for us. Right. You know that.
No.
It was all about like how you're going to make the most money.
Yeah.
And here we have the 401k, the whatever, the other things, and the apartment. So am I allowed to ask who owns this apartment that you're in?
I own it. I bought it at the right age of 24 from being on a TV show.
I don't pay
So
rent. I don't pay utilities. I don't consistently help with the trash or any of the chores. I just live here for free, literally for free. For nothing.
I just don't have to
For
keep
just
like
love.
focusing on looking pretty, because that's the other main value that he's adding. So.
Listen, I do appreciate that because Karan, you're a serious artist and you do need a muse. You do.
Yeah.
You do.
So there is a job there, and what better muse than this beautiful, brilliant, tall, skinny Harvard, Yale, best teacher. I mean, listen. The funniest thing is that when I met Roshan's mom during a movie shoot, she listed it all, and I would too.
Yeah.
I would too. I go anywhere. I'm like, my daughter has written a book in Latin. She's at Stanford. Even though Stanford, like, we're not going to talk about how trashy it's becoming with time. So for our viewers and listeners, Karan, Roshan, and I filmed a movie, beautiful, exquisite movie, A Nice Indian Boy, which is basically the Indian My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and I cannot wait for it to come out. It is going to be hilarious. It is going to change people's perceptions of how they view the gay community. And you guys are a power couple. In my eyes, you're a power couple. Also because he's a doctor, Roshan.
Of course.
A gay power couple. So yeah, that helps.
Karan, you're okay too, Karan. You're really
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Karan already flexed, and fine, he makes the money, but somebody here is saving lives. So like, let's not.
Let's not get crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, like everybody can make money. Okay, how many people can like cut people up and stitch them up? It's like the whole thing.
I don't think that's what doctors do.
Yeah, he's cutting them up and stitching them up. Okay.
And stitching them up, like in that order.
Yeah.
Like in our community, if you talk about being gay, like for kids, I think the first thing parents today would say, we think this child will have a very hard life, therefore we don't want them to be gay.
Yeah.
What would you say to that? I mean,
I think life is hard. If you're gay, I think it's getting easier. I don't know if it's getting easier in India, where it was illegal to be gay until 2018 and is now legal, but gay marriage is still illegal. But it is definitely getting better, but it is certainly not an easier life. I think it's sometimes easy to forget that that's the case, because in the coastal elite cities and worlds that we move in, it definitely does not feel like that. And in fact, being gay has become somewhat fashionable, as crazy as that sounds to say. But in the majority of the world, that is not the case. And particularly in the Indian community, which I think has not been an easy place for either of us in many respects.
Yeah, I think when parents or whoever says when you come out that, you know, it's going to be hard for you, I think there's two versions of that. One is a sweeter version, which is I understand more, which is that you're worried about your child. And the fear reaction is to say that first. And that's how my parents reacted. And then very quickly they were able to be like, calm that fear and be like, okay, I can understand it better. And I think that's great. The other reaction, which I think is specifically an Indian South Asian thing, is people are worried what other people will think. And they're using those words to be like, I'm scared for you because of what other people think. And I think that is a horrible way to operate, whether you're gay, straight, whatever it is. So I think that's the scary one to look out for and know where's that coming from, the sentiment.
How did the two of you meet?
Met on a dating
an app called Raya.
No way!
Yeah.
Wow,
Well,
shout
I don't
out
know
to
if
Raya.
Yeah, shout out. I had been on it for a year and a half and met a lot of narcissist alcoholics. Shout out to Raya again. And Roshan had only been on 1 or 2 dates, and then that was it. He got lucky, where he didn't have to go through the whole thing. But
He got lucky. He met you. Hello.
Yeah.
Jackpot.
Yeah.
Even though he's a, you know.
Did you guys feel like you were drawing on your own personal experiences, Roshan, when you were writing and directing the movie, and Karan when you were acting in it? Because I know that you guys said there was a scene where you sing to each other, where Karan sings to his co-lead. Like, did you feel like that was a moment for you that was drawing on personal experience, or how do you feel like it all played in together?
Yeah, I think the movie is so stuffed with our personal experiences. I did not write it. Eric Randall wrote the screenplay, which was adapted from a play by Madhuri Shekhar that's been around since 2012, since before gay marriage was legal, actually.
I heard about that, yeah.
Yeah, it's an amazing play, and the best parts of the movie, in many ways, are kind of unaltered parts of the play. But Karan and I did rewrite the script with our own experiences as well, not to a huge extent and never to an extent that would deserve credit, but we definitely made it our story as well, and not the specific story of our partnership, but more what it has felt like for both of us growing up. It was really liberating, and Karan's therapist keeps saying, like, what a crazy opportunity to, like, process everything you've been through and manifest a beautiful future.
We need to take a pause. We need to take a pause.
Oh my God.
We need to take a pause.
my therapist loves this
We need to take a pause.
Yeah.
Karan does therapy. Let's go. And he said it on the podcast.
$250 an hour, baby. Yeah.
I have been yelling at my daughter. I've been yelling at my daughter that nobody needs therapy. The whole thing is made up bullshit American stuff, and now he's like, I cannot believe you just said that.
Everybody
That was the best part of the podcast.
It
Who's right in the arguments more often between the two of you?
Karan
Who
is
wins the
always
most
right.
arguments?
We don't really argue. We really don't argue like that, because when we have a misunderstanding, each of us takes turns expressing how we feel and reflecting how the other person feels. And that
Just like
almost
our
always is
therapist
the
told
end to
us
it.
too. So, yeah.
Yeah, so mom and dad, do you see, so when my parents argue, they just don't talk to each other, and I'm like, what's going on here?
I think that's the way most people argue. I mean, Karan and I have developed this system. It's not like we were just born with it, but it's I'll say I'm feeling this, and he'll say I understand what you're feeling, and then he'll say I'm feeling that.
And if it ever gets really bad, I'll be like, I paid for this roof that you're living under, so... yeah.
Mom, who wins more arguments between you and dad?
Oh,
There's never a winner. They just don't talk to each other. There's no
Wait,
you don't know that. You
I've
don't know
seen
that.
it. What do you mean I don't know that?
We may have declared a winner between the two of us. You don't know that. And what is there to declare? You know 90% is wrong.
Yeah.
90% times he's wrong.
I will
What
say
is
this:
it? And-
when your husband visited Vancouver, and we didn't get to hang out with him, but from when I saw you before he was there and after he had left, and you were glowing, and you were very
No.
happy. You were very happy that he was there.
I'm glad you said that, Karan.
Yeah.
I saw it. I saw the glow.
You are
So sweet.
It's so
You
sweet.
are just in a sassy mood today. There was no glow. There was nothing. We fought the entire weekend. I was mad at him because he went nuts. That root store was next door to our hotel. Every 5 minutes he was buying a sweatshirt, and I'm like, he's such a diva. It's scary to take him anywhere because whatever money I earn is gone.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so sweet.
Well, you guys are unusual, aren't you? Because you fought to be together, unlike the arranged thing,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah, we kind of, well, I trapped him. Okay, let's be honest.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Also an original 1997 online dating story. So that we're not going to waste time on our story. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm one of the first. We are one of the first online dating led to marriage stories back in the day. But coming back to you guys, so one of the things that we were talking about when we were preparing for this episode was that when you came out to your families, did you come out to your siblings first? Like, who was the first bearer of your secret? Like, what was the, and I'm asking you this because we want to, and we hope to reach other people and give other people ideas on how to come out in a complicated situation.
Well, I'll just say for me, I came out when I was 30, and I wish every day that I had
Hold
30.
on.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. So when did you know you were gay?
11. Then I spent 2 decades lying to myself every single day and to everyone around me. And I deeply regret not saying it sooner because I was so afraid of what would happen when I said it and what the reaction would be. But I just spent 2 decades building up so much trauma and lying, and it was just a crazy waste of emotional energy. I wish I had said it much sooner, though I understand also why I didn't say it much sooner. But when I did eventually say it, it was to my mom and my brother at the same time. More or less. I told my mom
that's
first,
really sweet.
then she told my brother. So maybe it was my mom before my brother.
And was her reaction what you expected it to be?
I will say it was, unfortunately, but we got to a better place very quickly. There was a lot of fear, like Karan was talking about before. A lot of fear. And that fear is so interesting because it's just a thing we've made up and believe in, that it's this devastating verdict, but it's just completely made up. And it's also an inheritance of the British because India was always a very sexually liberal place, and the British brought a penal code that was overturned in 2018 and they brought Victorian morality, but that didn't exist before. The Hijra are a long-standing transgender population that have been in India forever. If you go to any temple, they're just covered in obscenities because Indians are so freaky. Like, the Kama Sutra, like, this is not, like, there's 1.5 billion people in India because, this is not actually a sexually closed off place. But the British made it so because they were very uptight, very repressed, and very afraid, specifically actually of the Hijra population. They infected us with this belief we now all have that it's this scary, scary fate when that's just historically for us as a people, as a culture, not the case. So.
Right.
Well, first of all, we are 1.5 billion because there's a lot of gifts from the gods. So,
Right.
there is,
Okay.
the answer is not always so clear.
I don't think that response works on the doctor, Mom. Like, it has worked on a lot of the guests, but I don't think it's going to work on the doctor who learned how this all works.
Yeah. But there's
Karan, how
no
was
shame
it?
or prudishness in Hinduism. Like, look at these temples. They're covered in nudity.
No.
They're like, there's, that shame and prudishness is not ours. We took it on, but it's not ours, theoretically.
But Karan, how was it for you? How was it for you
mine
coming
very
out? Was it
different.
like...
Yeah. I knew when I was 14, and then I came to, so that was in Delhi, and then I came to USC when I was 18 in LA. I'd never been to LA before. We had only ever visited New York and Vegas as a family from India, and so
That sounds about right.
And so I came to LA, and then like first week of school, I remember distinctly. Again, this is 2007. Seeing a lesbian couple holding hands, and then literally the thought that went through my head was like, who's going to start throwing the rocks first? Because I was like, this is not allowed. Like, to start like bashing these women. And then nothing happened. And I creepily followed them around for a while because I'm like, this is not allowed. Like, please, like, what's going to happen? And then when nothing happened, I was like, wait a minute. And that was like a big moment because, you know, growing up in India, I never saw a same-sex couple ever. You don't see it, even if it's there. So it was like such a shocking thing to see it normal. And then I kind of experimented telling people in college, which was in LA. So it was like a very safe place. And then I really, at the time, was meant to be an Indian Nepo baby. I was supposed to come back to India and run my dad's family business. He makes tractor parts for John Deere. And basically, I really went to college really for him because his dream was to go to college in America. And he was like, you're going to have this job. No one's going to teach you how to do this job in India. Like, you'll have to learn on the job. So, like, just go live for 4 years and then come back. And then all that sort of changed. So at the time, like, I was meant to go back to India and like live out there. So I didn't think I could ever openly be like this. So I was like, I'll just have these 4 years and then like I'll figure the rest out. And then that December, I went back my end of my freshman year, first semester, to go back for Christmas break. And I'm very, very, very close to my mom. And I was just like, that was the hardest thing for me, like mentally, to be like, how am I going to keep this lie from her? Like, I was like, I can keep it from everyone else. And on the plane, the long plane rides to India, I kept being like, I kept repeating in my head, just don't say anything. You're going for 10 days. They don't need to know. Like, don't say anything. And then it was so interesting. Like, the minute I saw her, she was like very affectionate, very loving. And she was like, how's it been? Like, how's everything going? Blah, blah, blah. And I just blurted it out. There was like pin drop silence. And then she was like, I'm going to go talk to your father. And then they huddled in a room and went on Google and said I would get AIDS and it was bad.
Google?
And then it turned out to be like
Wait, why did they go on Google?
I mean, I don't know.
Wait, what?
Did
they have to figure out the Indian community's
like,
stance?
they just, ask Jeeves. No, they just didn't know anything about it. And like the top search was AIDS. So that was it. They were like, you're going to die. And then,
oh my God.
And they believed that like California had like corrupted me and like all of this stuff or whatever.
That's what my mom thinks too.
Yeah. And then it was like a very tumultuous 10 days where there was a moment they were helping me pay for college. So that I was completely like, they were thinking of making me not go back. And it had turned into this whole disastrous thing. And then actually a therapist kind of saved the situation. Sorry to say it, but they were considering all sorts of options, including, and this is like not to put them under the bus because they're very sweet and loving, but there was a conversion doctor who was talked about, but like that was just the level of education at that time. Like people in India believe, I think they still do that can fix things. And so I was like, definitely don't want to do that. And I just blurted out like, let me go to a therapist. And at the time that was considered like, you're cuckoo crazy if you're going to a therapist. So they were like, okay, that's good. Yeah, something is wrong, like you should go. And you know, luck of the draw, I got a very like smart therapist in Delhi who basically was just like, nothing is wrong with you. After the first hour, she's like, I need to speak to your parents. I'm like, they're not going to come here. And then she was like, don't worry, I'll let them know I'm giving your diagnosis to them in person or whatever. And then she like snuck them in there that way and basically just therapized them for an hour. And we were like all crying. It was like this crazy thing. And then basically she said to me just one thing at the end of the session, which I still think about, which is she was like, you were 14 when you knew. It took you almost 5 years to say these words out loud. And she's like, your parents have known you since you were a baby. And they've projected onto you all these hopes and dreams. And you have to at least give them the same number of years you gave yourself to try to wrestle with what it means. And so she was like, give them 4 or 5 years. And for those 4 or 5 years, they're allowed to ask questions that might be offensive. And you can't get angry at them. You have to be really patient. And then she was like, at the end of that 5 years, if they're still homophobic, then you can be like, I'm mad at you now because I'm giving you enough time. But she's like, you have to at least give them that much time. And I had not really thought of it that way because when you're going through it yourself, you're finally feeling liberated to say it. And you're like, why can't everyone just get on board with this plan? And then it often takes a while to be like, oh, this is day one for them. And it's like 5 years in for me. And so that was like an interesting thing that came out.
What
but
an
now
amazing
my mom, they live in
story.
Georgia in like a small town, and she's like the queer ally lady because there's a lot of Indian families there. And my mom will literally be like to any other parents, like if their kid comes out in high school, she'll be like, let me take you for coffee and we'll talk about it. And then there's like there's all crazy stories. So there's like one kid in their community who's like in high school who like wears full makeup. and he does his mom's makeup. And then my mom like took her out and she was like, whenever he comes out, and she's like, what do you mean comes out? And she's like in complete denial. And my mom will be like, I think like this might be a conversation that's gonna happen. Like, if your son is
she always has her
makeup,
eye out for who's gay.
Yeah, she has her eye out.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Well, shout out to Karan's mom also because she's such a fashionista. I follow her on Instagram. Sonia Saraf, shout out to you. Such a fashionista. I love it. She's on trend, like fall trends, winter trends. Like I have to like check her page to make sure I'm on it. And I appreciate so much that she learned from you and now is teaching our whole community.
And shout out to therapy.
Zoya, Karan would have gotten there without this expensive therapist. He would have gotten there.
Yeah, the conversion doctor would have helped me and everything could have been fine, yeah.
The conversion doctor!
Yeah, the conversion doctor.
Yeah.
I don't think the conversion doctor would have helped.
Karan's mom and dad are so sweet and so full of love that in a way I do believe they would always have gotten there. And I think that's true of my mom as well. But it's a really crazy thing, and I hope it's not like that now, but I bet you it is in many places.
Well, I think in India and in Indian communities, there's still a lot. I mean, we know famous people that are just stuck. They just cannot come up. I mean, just listening to you guys speak, I almost wonder, what if they just did it? What if they just ripped the Band-Aid and said to the world once? And we know, there's so many famous Indian people who I empathize with them because so many of them have created the most romantic movies of all times. They're responsible for romance, but they themselves are living such lonely lives.
Yeah. No, I think that's the saddest thing is, I don't know when repression became the Indian byword or like the centerpiece of our culture. Like in a country where most people get arranged marriage, the number one thing is Bollywood, where people fall in love at first sight and live these florid escapist lives. And that's very much a metaphor for the entire country. You never say the thing that you feel. But that's actually not Indian because we are all such great lovers. Like these wet dripping saris in these movies, like we love. We're so full of love. And Zarna has a glow after Shalom visits. Like we really want to we really want to love. But we've like acquired this weird British cloak that has taught us something that is really not ours. When the truth, I believe, of Indian culture and our spirit, and even us who have grown up in the diaspora, is that we really believe in love, as silly and as non-doctorly as that sounds. So I think we're going to find our way back there if we listen.
If you just listen to the Indian songs, the lyrics, somebody is writing these extremely romantic,
extremely romantic.
You almost can't put the two together. Like you see the culture in real life, and then you listen to the music, and you're like, is this the same people who are doing it?
Yeah, but in a country where only the men hold hands, not the men and the women.
Right.
It's like, it makes no sense.
I remember when I visited my husband at his college, IIT, back in the day, like 20 whatever years ago, there were a lot of heterosexual men holding hands, like even just as friends. Like that's a thing in India. Did you ever notice that?
Oh yeah.
Now, in hindsight, I wonder, like, is your gaydar on all the time? Like, do you see people? You're like, I wish he could just say it.
And none of those guys are gay.
So
the ones holding hands, and the reason they're holding hands is because being gay is impossible. It's so impossible that they can hold hands. So it means something so completely perverse and ironic.
Oh.
Because you can't. How could you?
Yeah.
That makes
How could
sense.
two men be holding hands with a romantic intention?
It's
so
never
it's like so
going through anyone's head.
Yeah, but our gaydar I think
we're gonna
is
do...
on. Yeah. Otherwise.
Hey, Karan, did you just say it's so bad for you?
Mine is so bad.
The gaydar?
It's so bad.
Really?
It's so bad. It's so bad. I didn't
Have
even know
you ever
Jonathan
wanted
was
to intervene?
Have I wanted to intervene? Like, just get involved?
Wait, you didn't know? Hold on. Wait, what?
No. No. I did. But honestly, if I had just met him, it would have taken me a few days, and I didn't know it was like Jonathan Groff from like film, TV, Broadway. I would have been like, is this actor gay or straight? Like, I'm very bad. I'm very, very bad at knowing. Yeah. I never want to intervene.
Everybody's acting, so how can you really tell? I mean, like, I was apparently convincing for 2 decades, but straight men are acting too. They're hiding all their softness because they've been told they have to. So everybody's acting. Who knows, like, what it is to be gay or not to be gay? But obviously, we're going to be 10% of the population since the beginning of history until the end of time. So we're out there.
So Roshan, the 2 decades that you were not out, did you go on dates with women? Like, was there like a...
Yeah,
Wow.
I did. Without getting into too many details, I was definitely having romantic interactions with women, but I was really trying to, in all of those, convince myself that I would not have to come out if I could pull this off. Like, I felt that there was, with the right amount of work and like Indian immigrant mentality, I could like figure this out. It was a solvable problem.
Indian immigrant mentality.
And definitely not therapy, because we didn't want to go there. Didn't want to see what was down there. No, don't want to look down that well. Just develop 2 careers and pursue women and never stop was basically my philosophy until I was 30 and fell apart. So, yeah, that's
And
why
did
you need therapy.
Did you eventually go to a therapist? Like, even though I'm against this for right now, you did.
Yeah, and the therapist that Karan saw, I believe, saved his life in many ways. And the therapist I saw, I think, saved my life too. And they often serve that role, especially in a place like India where repression is the byword. Therapy is, I think, more needed than
for
ever.
$250 an hour to save your life is a pretty good deal, don't you think?
Mom, they're like the doctors of your brain.
Yeah.
They are not doctors. First of all, Roshan, please back me up here, okay? Like, please stop the insanity.
Yeah.
Who's more of a doctor, a chiropractor or a therapist? What do you think?
No, oh my God. You had to go there, didn't
Oh
you?
my
Karan, you
gosh,
said it
Karan.
sooner or later. I know. See, even Roshan's like, I can't believe he said that. I do want to say, do you guys have any suggestions for what we can do as a community to help the people who are trying to come out, who are repressed right now but want to come out? What would you suggest we do as allies, as friends?
I think
can
it's just
think
visibility.
of 2 people in LA.
Yeah, I think the solution is talking about it. It's the opposite of repression. It's Karan seeing 2 lesbians holding hands in the USC courtyard. That's all you can do. And understanding that we're all still standing after coming out and thriving in many ways, because so much of our art has actually prospered because we're gay. It's been a gift in so many ways, not a curse or any of the things that our parents imagined for us. But I think the solution is just talking about it nonstop in casual ways that show that it's nothing evil, because the only thing that makes things scary is not talking about them. And gay rights, in a way, reminds me of abortion, because they're both things that have existed since the beginning of time and will exist till the end of time. But they both acquire more fear when they're not talked about, when they remain in the dark. But the agitating over gay rights is silly. It's a waste of emotional energy. If you choose to spend your energy that way, that's very funny, because we will continue to be 10% of the population until humanity dies out. But it will make the problem worse if we don't just openly talk about it, because there's literally nothing to fear.
What Roshan said, which is so smart. I think that's why, not to keep bringing it back, but why this movie, Nice and Evil, was so special for us to make, because really it's about celebrating gay love in a way that it hasn't been in a big, splashy Indian wedding. And like, I don't know how you felt, but when we both were filming the wedding scenes, and there were 100 Indian extras, and we were doing this traditional ceremony in full Indian outfits with 2 men, it was like this very visceral reaction, and we keep talking about it because we were like, we just don't see it. And we've seen it in the other way so many, hundreds and thousands of times. And so I think there's such power in like celebrating that in an open way. I think people were emotional just from watching a fake wedding. So but I think it's because it's not, they haven't seen it. And so there's something powerful in that.
Yeah.
I mean, Roshan, definitely, when you talked about it, 2 decades, like, it should not be that way now for anybody going forward.
No,
And I think that we can all learn from your example, not even just like, and just to throw it in there, like, I don't think that Indian kids or people should be afraid of anything. If you want to go into the entertainment industry, if you want to be a writer, if you want to go be a comedian, if you want to do anything like that. And I think that like all this fear that surrounds like what's going to happen, like I think we can all do a lot to just mitigate that so that everybody can just live as they want to be and be happy.
Yeah.
But I know that's against everything that my mom stands for. So.
I'm not going to, first of all, Zoya, I let you join this podcast. You're a girl. Still, I said we will give you a voice because we're going to be modern parents. And now this is what you do with the voice that has been
My
given.
therapist said to say it.
By the way, her therapist, is this true? Her therapist will not let me find out what the two of them talk about.
Yeah, that's pretty critical.
Do you not feel like I should get the notes from
because
them?
she asks me for the notes, and she's like, I want to know. She was like, how was it today? And I was like, oh, it was great. I feel really good. And she's like, what specifically did you talk about? And then asks me for like the play-by-play. And I'm just like,
that's
I don't think that's how it works.
That would completely undermine the safety of the experience that's required for it to be meaningful or effective. So you can't know anything that happens in there.
I think if you're paying the bill, you should get to see the notes.
Thank you, Karan. Yes.
Oh my god.
Thank you. I knew
Why
that.
did you just throw me under the bus?
Oh my god, just write some fake notes.
I'm gonna write. I talked about getting an A in math. I just met an Indian male doctor.
For 30 minutes.
Oh yeah, my mom has made me so happy. And my
Yeah.
No, that's the way.
Karan, Roshan, you guys are so amazing. It has been so great having you guys. I really hope that this episode goes a long way and opens eyes and hearts for so many people. And along with this episode, our movie, which I can't wait for it to come out, the preview, the festivals, it's going to kill at every festival. We already know that. Just because how special it was when we made it. A nice Indian boy with Karan, Soni in the lead, Jonathan Groff singing songs that you will not see coming. And Roshan directing the whole thing like a masterful. I mean, you spoiled me. I told you guys, I said, you guys spoiled me for any other movie because no other movie is ever going to match up to the warmth and the efficiency with which this movie got made, the beauty of it all. Thank you so much. Do you guys feel good about the episode?
Yes, thank you for having us. It was so much fun. And it was so great to meet you.
It was so nice to meet you guys. You guys are amazing. Like, this was the best. This was my favorite podcast that we've done so far. I'm going to be really honest. It was so wonderful to just get to hear your guys' story, too.
Yes, and we will...
mom so much.
Oh, she loves you guys. She is literally like, I wish they were my sons, my kids. Like, you need to be like them.
It's amazing to meet you guys. It's such great context. I love when you guys are in the special. It's so beautiful. And Veer is the funniest man on earth. Him giving that little countdown of his power percentage is the funniest thing that has ever happened.
Iconic.
And he just disappeared. It was so funny.
This is the story of a live family podcast. Like, you see it? He's like the president of the United States. He's busy. I'm glad it was a power percent and not just, Mom, I have another thing. I have to go. I have to go.
It was so funny. He was like, do you think that percentage will last? And then everyone was like, no. He was like, 10, 9, 8, 7. It was so funny. He is so funny. I love Veer.
And he takes his life and his position very seriously. You'll get to know him more with time. But thank you so much.
Thank you.